Hello, this is Kayla from Around the World Virtual Online Travel Group. In the months of January and February, we traveled to the country of Liberia online using online resources. And today, we're going to be making a recipe and doing a cook along. So come along with me and cook along. We are going to make Liberian banana rice bread. Now I found this recipe from food.com and it was submitted by Engrossed, Engrossed. The link is food.com diagonal recipe diagonal banana dash rice dash bread dash Liberia dash 309591, and you can find this online. If you are in my Facebook page, Around the World Online Learning Group, you can find this recipe on that page. But basically, you find this recipe on food.com. And this is where I got the recipe. Like I said, every 2 months we travel to a different country virtually in our group, in our Facebook group. So I have 2 videos left. We started with 3 YouTube videos yesterday. When I did the cook along for the jollof rice, it took quite a while to make. It's roughly an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and a half as based on the recipe, but it took us a little longer. My goal was kind of to go slow so that way people have time to kind of like join with me and have time to cut up the vegetables and cut up the chicken and so on and so forth. But right now we're going to make the Liberian rice bread. Tomorrow we're going to have another video and I'm going to come on. And on that video, we're going to talk about what we learned about Liberia. So we talked about already what I already know or what we already knew about Liberia. And then we talked about what do we want to learn about Liberia. Tomorrow will be a day where we try both of the recipes that I made. The jollof rice, Liberian jollof rice, and that recipe I found on franktheater.org, which is a theater in Minnesota. And also this Liberian rice bread. I'll have it in front of me. I'll taste it. I'll show it to you. I actually have my jollof rice in the freezer. I put them all in separate containers so that way when I go to work, I take out a container. I have all my meals ready for the week. Same thing I do with my vegetables. I prep them. I put them together in bags. Makes it really easy so that I don't need to run to a fast food restaurant to grab food during the week. So it's in there and I'll heat it up tomorrow. I'll have this bread, it'll be done, and we'll talk about what we've learned. Feel free to bring a glass of wine or a nice drink. And if you've made the recipes, you can actually eat along with me. So we'll be doing that at about 1 p.m. tomorrow. And that will be as soon as I get out of church. So if I'm a little bit late, it's because I didn't get out of church till a little bit later. But I will be showing up on my Facebook group at that time at about 1 p.m.-ish. And we'll do our video, what we've learned about Liberia. So without further ado, let's make this Liberian banana rice bread. Okay. So what are we going to need here? The first thing we're going to need is 1.5 cups of rice flour or 1.5 cups of cream of rice. So I have cream of rice here. We'll measure 1.5 cups of that. Right now I'm just showing you the ingredients we're going to need before we even start. So 1.5 cups of cream of rice or rice flour. And then we're going to need a 1/4 cup, so you get your 1/4 cup measurer and you also get your sugar. I have Splenda here, but you get your sweetener or your sugar. And then a tablespoon. So you get your tablespoon and you also get your baking soda here. Tablespoon of baking soda. Oh, that says baking powder. My bad. I'm going to get my baking powder. I do not see anything in here about baking soda. So that was my bad. So let me find the baking powder that I have. Figure out where I put it. And I just had it the other day, so I hope I can find it. Okay, so got that in there. That in there. Uh-oh. No! Hold on. I just had it too, so I'm wondering where I put it. Ah, thank you, Jesus. I found it. I didn't lose it after all. I didn't have to go to the store or pick it up. So you're going to need baking powder. I don't see anything in here about baking soda. So a tablespoon of baking powder. Thanks for being patient with me. A half teaspoon of salt. 1/4 cup of raisins or currants. 2 eggs. 3/4 cup of milk, and I have oat milk here. You can use any kind of milk that you prefer. And 2 ripened bananas. I got my 2 ripened bananas here. These are actually plantains. You can use either bananas or plantains. I actually have 3 bananas altogether. I might have to eat this or something, or find something to do with it, or like divide the recipe and make myself another little rice spread. Like with like a half of 1 egg and split it in half for next time. But for our recipe, it calls for 2 eggs, which we already talked about, 2 ripened bananas, and 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. So my vegetable oil is, I had it over here a second ago, so that's another thing I have to find, and it's right over here. Okay, I got the oil here. All right, so 1/2 cup of vegetable oil, and you're gonna want to have, sorry, I'm blocking one of the videos with the oil. You're gonna want to have like a 9-inch loaf pan or a round pan. So I have my pan here. It's gonna take it apart here. Its own sticky stuff on it. And you're also going to want to have 2 bowls, because we're going to mix the wet ingredients in one bowl and the dry ingredients in the other bowl. Okay. So this is my pan. It's actually kind of a big pan here. So a 9-inch loaf pan is not like this size, but it'll still be good, I'm sure. All right, find a place for this. Have to be creative in a very tiny 300 square foot studio as far as finding places to put things. All right. So we have everything we're going to need. We're also going to want a whisk because we're going to do a little bit of whisking. And we're going to want a fork or anything that you can use to mash bananas. All right. So the first thing to do is to preheat the oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. And then you're going to want to grease your loaf pan or your round cake pan. So I will grease this. I'll put this on to 325 degrees and it will preheat. So it's going to be in the middle between 300 and 350. This particular oven doesn't have all the numbers on it. It just goes by increments of 50. So we'll see how that works. Might have to keep an eye on it. All right, and I will grease my loaf pan. Woohoo! Can't wait to try this. I tried the jollof rice yesterday. Oh my goodness, it was like one of the best meals that I've ever tried in my life. It's really good. Okay, so you're gonna grease your pan. So I grease my pan. Probably put a little too much on, but that's okay. All right, so I greased my pan. I'm just gonna put this up here. And I set my oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. So now we're going to look at the next piece of the recipe. All right, so we preheated the oven and we greased our cake pan or loaf pan or round cake pan. The next thing to do is we're going to mix together our dry ingredients. So we're going to mix rice, flour, sugar, baking powder, salt, and raisins. Rice flour, sorry, not rice, rice flour. And raisins in a large bowl. Okay, so let's start with our dry items. Here's my large bowl. The eggs and the banana are going to go in a small bowl. But here is this large bowl. The eggs, banana, and milk. I'm trying to think here. 3/4 cup. Okay. So it's kind of tough to decide. I might pick a different bowl. And the reason for that is because I'm trying to think about how much capacity I need for the bananas, the milk, the wet ingredients. So we'll have 2 bowls here. So this smaller bowl probably might be a little too small. So I'll put that aside. Okay. All right. So, just making sure this is cleared out. All right. So the first thing to do is 1.5 cups of rice flour or 1.5 cups of rice meal or rice meal. I think it's what it's called. Cream of rice. Cream of rice. 1.5 cups here. Thank you to Wilma from work who gave me this cream of rice. She is from Liberia. She's the reason why we're traveling to Liberia. Because she said, you should do Liberia and you should do a cooking video. And so I definitely did that. And I am so excited to have learned about Liberia. And I'm glad that our group chose that country to travel to. Okay, so 1.5 cups of rice flour or cream of rice. Okay, that's roughly 1 cup. And now I'll do 1/2 cup. what I'm going to do yet. Perfect. I had another half a cup. So I put 1 cup in, and now I'm filling up a half a cup. There we go. So we got our 1.5 cups of rice, cream of rice or rice flour. All right. The next ingredient is going to be a 1/4 cup of sugar. So we'll grab our sugar or our sweetener. I have my Splenda. And we'll grab a 1/4 cup measurer. Let me see if it asks me to add that though. Yep. Sugar. Okay. 1/4 cup of sugar. Make it nice and sweet. It's also going to be sweet from the bananas and the raisins. So 1/4 cup of sugar. I'm going to put it in my bowl. Okay. Alright, so we're going to need a tablespoon of baking powder. So I'll get my baking powder and I'll get a tablespoon here. Looks almost like powdered sugar. Okay, got a tablespoon of baking powder. Gonna put that in with the dry ingredients. And then the salt and the raisins. So how much salt here? We're gonna have a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Okay. And then the raisins, a 1/4 cup of raisins. Or currants. You can choose which one you want to use. Bring on sweetness. These raisins are very sweet. Alright, 1/4 cup of raisins. In it goes, into the dry ingredient. And we're just going to mix this together. We have this here. And mix this up. Might actually be good to do this with the fork. I'm smelling it right now. Doesn't smell like anything yet. So you're just going to kind of mix all the dry ingredients together. I'll do that for about a minute. Okay. All right, I mixed that together. I'm going to put it aside, and now we're going to work on our wet ingredients. So we're going to whisk together the eggs, the milk, the mashed bananas, and oil in a separate bowl. So I'm going to use this. And so it asks for 2 eggs, and so let me get a little bowl to crack the egg into. So 2 eggs. And I always crack it into a small bowl, and that way I can look for little pieces as I go. If I wait to do that, then that wouldn't be the best idea, because then you have to go into all the ingredients and take out the eggs. I guess if you put it first, it wouldn't really matter, because you could just go and take out all the shells that way. Okay. Alright, so I got my 1 egg and 1 more egg. We're going to do 2 eggs total. It's a little bit of egg there. Okay. And then another egg. Looking for small pieces, and there are none, so I can put that in. Got the eggs here, and then it's going to ask for the milk. It's going to ask for 3/4 cup of milk, and so I have here a 1/4 cup measurer. I don't have a 3/4 cup measurer. And yesterday I did the jollof rice, and I used the liquid measure for that. I'm not 100% sure where I put it. So I'm going to use 3 of these. So you're going to do 3/4 cup of milk. Got my 1/4 cup measurer. Here we got some oat milk. You can use any kind of milk that you would like. I'm shaking it up a little bit. You could use oat milk, almond milk, soy milk, dairy-free milk, whatever kind of milk you'd like. So 3/4 cups. That's 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4 cup of milk. And then you're going to put in the mashed bananas and the oil. So I got my 2 ripe bananas. You can use ripe bananas or ripe plantains. These are actually plantains. I'm going to pause this video and we'll